Alan Clements Uncensored. Thank you for listening to my podcast. A few notes about the presentation. After years of scripted talks, many of them methodically outlined, some even memorized, at least in part, I decided to drop that style and simply speak spontaneously from my heart. So that's what I do. My talks are raw and improvisational. I make them up as I go along. In addition to my World Dharma talks, I also offer at times readings from my books, Instinct for Freedom, A Future to Believe in, The Voice of Hope, and Wisdom for the World. I also offer readings of my personal notes, sometimes guided meditations, dialogues from my World Dharma public forums, interviews from radio and television, and sections from my show, Spiritually Incorrect Meets Relationship Incorrect, The Great Reckoning, and the occasional conversation with someone I find interesting. I also want to express my deep gratitude to the people who have made donations to me, either a one-time or recurring donation, either on the support page of my website, alanclements.com, or pledged a monthly amount as little as $1, perhaps $3 or even $5 a month, through my Patreon site. If you're inspired to do so, you can support this podcast and my work by making a monthly pledge at Patreon. That's patreon.com, patreon.com/Alan Clements, and there you'll find my page. You can use a credit card or pay through PayPal, and your monthly pledge, that's what it takes, just a few minutes to set up, allows me not only to do my work, it allows me to create my art, use my voice, speak my Dharma, free of commercial consideration or advertisers. Thank you from my heart for taking the time to listen to my podcast, and thank you for your generous support. I hope you enjoy the presentation. To yours, thank you for being here tonight at Against the Stream Meditation Center in Venice, California, United States, galaxy somewhere in this infinite universe. I'm Alan Clements. I've met most of you tonight. This is what I call the World Dharma Public Forum, a spontaneous talk, coupled at the end. If you have questions or things that you'd like to talk about, it's my reason to be here, is to commune with you openly and honestly as I can. So hold it. Feel it. I try the best that I can to be kind of an organic psychedelic. I like the idea of just being in shared space and bringing my interior into some degree of three-dimensional visibility so that it becomes a real experience rather than just words. The talk tonight, the sharing tonight, the beauty of direct experience, like if you're going to hold hands, make contact, right? The Dharma to me, D-H-A-R-M-A, or the Buddhist Pali word Dhamma, D-H-A-M-M-A. The reason it's so cool for me, I'm so down with it, is that it led me into the kiss. It allowed me to say, hey, you don't have to be a conceptual creature. Yes, you use words, and because you use them fairly well, it doesn't mean that you're an intellectual. I haven't read that much, or I don't know. But I like feeling the nature of the present on the terms of my integrity, my passion, my joy. You put in direct experience with intimacy, you have a beautiful moment. Fair enough? To me, when I did substances like psychedelics or DMT or 5-MeO or mushrooms, it was like, God, you're immersing yourself. I'm not advocating them. I'm saying do what you need to do to find your heart, but when you're in it, you feel. You can be lost in the hallucination, the phantasms, the sunsets, the poetry in Rumi. But when you come out of those ideas, interior phantasms, you are back to what do you feel like? When you look at each other, what do you feel? I love that idea that the Dharma or Dhamma or meditation, 3 synonyms for me, points to the felt
living reality of being embodied right here, right now, not the only place in the universe. There's lots of places in this universe that I want to explore that could be way out of this dimension. It's not just here and now, but the direct experience. I love people who, in other words, cliched as it is, Alan, show up. But what does that mean? I'm willing to participate in your reality. I'm willing to listen to you with my heart and soul. Yes, I'm flawed, I'm imperfect. We know that, right? That means, though, that I'm willing to not know something in your presence. And my commitment in Dhamma, the felt reality, includes accountability as a state of consciousness. It includes transparency. It includes forgiveness. But those are very intangible concepts for me. And I beg of us, as we proceed into this talk, the direct experience of Dhamma, the next point would be the relativity of truth. To me, it points to the innate humiliation of assuming that you know. And how do you include that type of humiliation to yourself as a meditative felt reality, so that I'm in your presence and I'm coming across with this sense of authority or hierarchy or patriarchy or elitism or pride or certainty, that I have a Dhamma, meditative Dhamma, felt willingness, a courage. Pause. What is the felt reality of courage? If we're going to be Buddhists, why be Buddhist when you can be in meditative reality as a Dharma artist of consciousness? Is it language? I ask of you, where are you tonight? What do you feel inside of your being? Are you making this sharing together a Dhamma or a Dharma or a meditative felt reality? Are we able to translate words across shared space through the brain, the body, the anatomy, consciousness, psyche, source, and occupy whatever the word Dhamma or Dharma or meditation means to us, and co-occupy that state of consciousness with mindfulness? Is that meditation? It takes it off the cushion, it takes it off walking or sleeping alone, and it's as intimate, the practice of intimacy, as we would holding hands or falling into shared love or the kiss. You would not be satisfied, Alan, saying that you wanted to make love or to kiss and not actually make contact. Fair enough? But how often in our communications with one another and ourselves, we're willing to satisfy ourselves without really making contact with the kiss of self? We actually have a false idea of what kissing even means. We can even project that kissing is taking place, but it's not even coming close to that. We can even use the word intimacy and lovemaking and have no relationship to intimacy and lovemaking, the relativity of truth. What we're pointing to here are states of consciousness. In all of my years of Buddhist study, teachers I've studied with and respected, S-O-C, states of consciousness. What is meditation? What is Buddhism? What is the Dharma? What is the Dharma beyond Buddhism? The study, the felt reality, the fabric, the texture of states of consciousness. Call it Dharma, Dhamma artistry. So when we're looking at how do I meditate, what do I do to meditate, it's the literacy of states of mind. An individual who's, in my book, in my world, that I really respect is someone who stays in some kind of fidelity, some congruence, some certainty, some consistency to a state of mind. Kindness, You become my friend because I can see in you a reliability. What is the fabric of trust? How do I know trust to be true? I meditate, I take up religion, I take up philosophy, I take up all the things that we do to understand our interior world, to understand these deeply timeless qualities of consciousness. They're not Buddhist, they're not Christian, they're not Hindu. They're somehow embedded in the fabric of consciousness. Who knows how far out it goes? Is it just within our biosphere? Is it just Earth-based? Is it beyond this galaxy? The relativity of truth. No, halfway through. I was thinking on the way here how relative is. And I was imagining being on an airplane, reading a book on being present. Any number of books. Not even a bestseller, but just reading it, and I was being very present, reading it. And I had to go to the bathroom, and I decided to practice mindfulness in the moment. And so I'm walking out of my seat in the airplane, going down the aisle very slowly, and I'm completely oblivious to the fact, because I'm tuning out airplane and travel, that I'm going approximately 550 miles an hour. And I'm really thinking about, wow, how still I am. How amazingly calm I am. And in absolute denial of the containment of the vessel, jettisoning around this globe, and the globe itself, set aside, I'm not a scientist, I don't know, I just look on Wikipedia for my facts, 25,000 miles an hour this little sucker's going around. Whoa, 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 and I'm so still in this moment now, in a 550 mile an hour capsule going around from Hong Kong to Los Angeles on a little bio-green blue sphere spinning around a sunball 96 million miles away. And the sunball is like going around in a galaxy at some 500,000 miles an hour. I looked it up on Wikipedia today. That is fast. And still, I am here in Against the Stream talking about being present, still, calm, peaceful, interrupting the flow of greed, anger, and delusion, elevating metta, compassion, patience, and wisdom, in denial of the relativity of my truth in this world, on this planet, around the sun, in a galaxy, and a galaxy going around a meta galaxy at over 500,000 miles an hour, set aside meta dimensions of mystery. Within all of this perception, bear with me, there's this little 3-pound brain that's sort of like a soggy marshmallow that has 1 trillion or more neurons firing at some rapid pace, that within just small sections of it, and all of a sudden all those articulations that you take for granted, called my truth, my love, my Sangha, my Buddhism, my credentials. What was I saying? Help me. Who am I? Point made? Relative truth. Like, hello, come down off your pyramid, come down off your pharaoh, come down off your Buddha projection patriarchy, and assume the role of not a teacher, not a student, but a vehicle, an instrument, a being of organic relativity embedded in this biosphere of unthinkable generations of life, clueless fundamentally to who we are, except the last point I want to make is the mockery of ignorance. If you embed yourself in self-conceit, it's a mockery of your own stupidity. And look at these states of consciousness that we exclude from meditation. That's my main point. It's so easy to be mindful of a sound or a thought, all the ordinary things about how much money I'm making, how many students are at my group, how many retreats have been filled, how many enlightenments have I lied about, how many meals did I fucking fake, all the fraudulence of my history. And I don't even know it anymore because I believe my lies. And I'm a poet, I'm a storyteller. And you can't even feel it in the other. because there's this presumption psychologically of confirmation bias. We want to belong as a species. Who wants to be a single penguin? Who wants to be the only kangaroo? It's not easy to run out of the pack. We want to run with the pack. There's a deep predilection within this DNA, to me, to belong. And so we overlook a lot of things. The relativity of truth, the mockery of ignorance. Closing. Something very tangible. Everyone in the world is talking about the fires in the Amazon. I mean, I cannot believe how it's in the psyche of the world. If there's ever been a zeitgeist moment for climate emergency, we're doing it. And here I was today looking at the New York Times being delivered to the house that I'm staying in. Front page, wow, big fires coming off the New York Times. And just like the whole page has been devoted to it for like the last couple of weeks. And I'm thinking like, I wouldn't even know about it if it wasn't for the New York Times. I go to my computer and I look, how many New York Times are printed every day and how many trees are required for that printing? Don't be such a smarty pants, Alan. Those fires are not only real down there, but you've got to go on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and make a big noise about this, especially with Greta having come across the ocean and now she's in New York and telling the whole world's on fire. Belong to the club of putting out those fires. Don't be smarty pants. I'm thinking, how many trees go into the New York Times? Sunday edition alone, I dare not even put zeros behind it, but all Sunday's edition alone, worldwide, 500,000 trees. Something like a phenomenal amount of billions of trees, paper products alone. I'm going like, that's a lot of fucking paper. That's a lot of trees. I wonder how many trees are being burned every hour in relationship to the papers that are telling us about the burning. And it's like the mockery of ignorance and the relativity of truth and like, hey, Mr. Smarty Pants, get over this. And so I'm thinking like, just go to Facebook, Alan, and just let it out, man. We're in a climate emergency, and I go to my Facebook feed, and there's like dozens of people raging out about the fires. Namaste, right? And I'm thinking, I wonder how many servers are required to run Facebook. And so I do my Wikipedia search and do my smarty pants investigative journalist story. And I'm looking at Mr. Zuckerberg's vision, and maybe you know this, for those who are technically involved, but there's 12 data centers that run Facebook. This is just Facebook, by the way. That's Instagram and WhatsApp and pretty much my entire life. 12 data centers, and they're a square mile each, 5 stories. Square mile is a pretty big building. 60,000 mega servers in each at the highest wattage possible, with lots of people that go there to serve them every day. I'm thinking, how much electricity is being burned by Facebook for every one of us who are digital activists talking about the fires in Brazil that I read about in the New York Times, paper and servers, electricity, all the cars. And I'm going like, how far out do you need to take this to see the relativity of truth and the utter denial of complicity, collusion, I dare say, hypocrisy? Would it be better to not have the paper delivered? Would it be better not to even use digital mediums? Would it be better to cancel the internet? Would it be better not to have driven a car here tonight? Would it have been better? Would it have been better? When do you actually go back further and further and further so you can stand on solid ground and go, hallelujah, I'm a non-hypocrite. I do not have sexual relations with my students. I do not take money from Dharma students. I mean, where do we stop the blame and open our hearts to the fundamental existential conundrum closing here, of being human, being alive, being mortal, being an animal, a bird, a butterfly, on this very problematic fabric called the ecosystem in a biosphere. There's one word for it, and I'll close with this. We can open it up. If I can quote something attributed to the Buddha, he defined what I'm saying. Obviously, it's said much better in books and texts and teachers who espouse being Buddhists. I don't. The word samsara. A fabric of infinite entanglement that if you push this way, it creates conflict on the other side. Everyone in this fabric, at one point or another, will be praised and blamed. They will lose, they will gain. There'll be pleasure, there'll be pain. These dyads, known in Buddhist Pali language, are called lokya, the conditions of samsara. And there is no way out by taking sides. And there is no fundamental righteousness in this. Ultimately, yes, the conundrum, Alan, of integrity and conscience, aren't global human rights and environmental rights an essential need? But for God's sake, I'm willing to kill in the name of your freedom if you violate my freedom. So it is a torturous task to embark upon this Dharma, this integrity, this conscience, in a fabric that's, I would say, ill-designed. Why do we have to figure it out? And so my closing statement to myself, which I'm going to give a talk in New York next month with a friend of mine, is the global crisis and inner acts of rebellion. I'm really calling for an existential rebellion in a way that basically says it's a fundamentally impossible task to get this right, but to do what we can to come down off the pedestal of pride, of arrogance, of conceit, to study the most fundamentally complicated states of consciousness, not the comfort ones, the convenience ones, but what is the felt meditative dharmic dhammic reality of hypocrisy? Let us break bread there and make love in the revelation of that discovery together, so that we don't have to have public tribunals and shamings and witch hunts. Let us learn to integrate at this day and time a rebellion against all things that we've denied. Hypocrisy, pride, arrogance, conceit, self-deception, denial, shame. Let us reinvent the Dhamma, the Dharma, at this stage of evolution. Perhaps as the ship goes down, it's a global fire. As it's been said by Greta, the young Swede nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, and in the Buddhist tradition too, quoting the Buddha, the house is on fire. I beg of us as we end tonight, what really matters? Being a spiritually correct Buddhist, or being an actively vulnerable, alive, intimate human being, crying, weeping, loving, making love, undulating in this weird, ambient, present time phenomena called life in the 21st century, in the most complex time in human history that we know. What will we do with one another to make good on the promise of life? Who do I want to associate with tonight? What do I want to do? What words am I willing to share with you? And so I ask you to ask me, may we keep alive, to the extent that you're inspired, the beauty of caring. If there's a quality of mind that I treasure the most, in my arrogance, in my shortcomings, in my failings, don't abandon me. Help me. Come home with me. Call me into that place in you of patience and determination, not of forgiveness. Stay with me. Stay truthful with me. Be patient with me. Please ask me the most difficult questions. but don't abandon me. And I'll do my best not to abandon you. In this quality, it's a combination of empathy and compassion and loving kindness and patience, intelligence, determination, intimacy, called caring. Caring. To me, caring is the new mindfulness, the new wisdom. I'm hungry, please bring me food. If I'm unable to bathe, please help me bathe. If I don't have shelter, please bring me into your home. If you are without money, allow me to give you some. Let us return to those basic human qualities and break out of the coma of sanghas, religions, cults, and may we rise high in the ethic of caring. So from my heart to yours, thank you for allowing me to share and to emote and to talk.
That has been Alan Clements Uncensored. Thank you for listening. You can find the entire list of my podcasts at alanclements.com, along with my books and upcoming events and live broadcasts. In addition, you can also book a private session with me if you wish by phone or Skype on the website. If you're a regular listener or simply feel moved to support my work, you can make a one-time donation or a recurring donation, a tax-deductible one, in any amount you feel comfortable, either on the support page of alanclements.com or a monthly pledge through my Patreon site at patreon.com/Alan Clements. Thank you for listening to my podcast, and thank you for sharing word of it among your friends and on social media. Thank you from my heart. Until the next time, blaze on with fearless love.